What's up, everybody? What's happening? Welcome to the channel. You see, I got Baby here with me. That's her name, Baby. Baby's tough enough to survive Rikers Island, and that's what this video is about. Let me put my baby down. This video is about Rikers Island. First of all, thank you for tuning into the channel. I appreciate you. Anyone who's never been here before, please hit the subscribe button, like and share the videos. Everybody else, welcome back. I've been getting a few requests to do another video on Rikers Island, so that's what I'm going to do. I spent 3 years on Rikers Island myself, 1996, 1997, 1998. And it is truly a cement jungle. A lot of politicians want to close Rikers Island. Other politicians want to keep it open. So there's a lot of political involvement in this place. Of course, there's a lot of money involved with keeping it open. And so there's a lot of violent reasons for closing the facility. And so I'll explain some of the statistics about the island and what it's like to be in there. I will also post a video or two, a brief video or two, so you could see some of the behavior on Rikers Island to give you a feel of what it's like there. But it is an extremely, extremely dangerous place. It is one of the 10 largest jails in the United States of America. The property itself is 413 acres, to give you an idea of just how big this facility is. 413 acres. They have their own laundry house there. They have their own canine unit with the dogs. They have their own marine unit to secure the waters around Rikers Island. They have their own powerhouse, their own sewer plant. They have their own post office with their own zip code. 413 acres is huge. It's located in the East River, in the Bronx, but technically I believe it has a Queens address, but it's located in the East River in the Bronx, New York. And the place has a feel of its own. It's, as far as the population inside of the jail itself, it's 56% black. African American, 56%. It's 33% Hispanic, and it's 7.5% white. So that's the makeup or the mixture of Rikers Island itself. There is about 10,000 prisoners on Rikers Island right now. When I was there was about 17,000 on any given day. This is very, very large, because when you talk about a prison, Rikers Island is a jail. Right? When you talk about a prison like Sing Sing or Attica or Greenhaven, these prisons hold 2,000 inmates, 2,000 prisoners, 1,800 prisoners, some of them 1,500. Rikers Island had 17,000 when I was there. I mean, it's just absolutely immense. The place is tremendous. There's 10 different jails on Rikers Island. See, it's not just one building. There's 10 different buildings that house prisoners there, and they all have their own name. One is called OBCC, one is called C95, one is called C73, and the list goes on. Just to give you an example of how dangerous the place is. The statistics you can go from 2022 are really the latest statistics that you can get, and there were 4,911 stabbings in 1 year. Was it 1 year? In 2022, there were 4,901 stabbings and slashings within 4,000 stabbings and slashings between 2021 and 2022. Right there, that tells you how dangerous this place is. 85%, 85% of the men on Rikers Island are what they call pretrial detainees, which means that they are individuals that their criminal case is still going. They haven't been sentenced yet. That's 85% of the population. Means that they've been brought in off the street, they've been arrested, and their criminal case is still going. Other than that 85% are people that have been sentenced already, and they're serving their time on Rikers Island, meaning their sentence was less than 1 year, and they're serving their time on Rikers Island. Maybe they were sentenced to 6 months, 90 days, 30 days, 8 months, And then there's a percentage of men who are just waiting to go upstate to prison, that they've been sentenced already to 5 years, 25 years. So to break that down again so you understand it, 85% are waiting to finish their criminal cases, and the rest of the population is either serving under a year or waiting to be sent up to prison. Um, there is an $860 million a year budget for Rikers Island. That's what Rikers Island functions on, from state money and federal money. It's $860 million a year to run the jail. There are 9,000 officers on the premises. 9,000. It's like an army, but it is half of the population. Actually, right now, because there's 10,000 prisoners, if there's still 9,000 staff members, it's almost a one-on-one ratio, right? But, statistics change. So I'm just giving you an idea approximately of how it functions. There are another 1,500 civilians that work on Rikers Island, besides the 9,000 staff members that work there. There are about 100,000 admissions every year. That means people that get arrested and come into Rikers Island are about 100,000 people a year. And as I said, there's about 10,000 on any given day. They say that it costs $556,000 a year to house each prisoner. I mean, to me, that's not reasonable or fathomable at all. How does it cost $550,000 to house a prisoner for 1 year? There's no way in the world. That to me is a clear sign of corruption. That to me which is another story, but they're receiving $500,000. They're saying it takes over $500,000 to take care of each prisoner for a year. That's crazy. There's no way in the world. And this is one of the reasons why people don't want the jail closed. If you were receiving over $500,000 each year to take care of a prisoner, who would want to let that go? Right? So that money, as they say, the love of money is the rule of all evil. There are 9,424 assaults on Rikers Island every year. Almost 10,000 assaults, almost 10,000 stabbings and cuttings. It's a dangerous place. So those are some of the statistics on Rikers Island. One of the dangerous things about Rikers Island is the individuals, obviously, that are housed there. You have a lot of men who are coming off of drugs. They're coming right off of the streets, right? And so they're withdrawing from heroin. They're withdrawing from cocaine and crack. They're withdrawing from opiates and pills. They're they're withdrawing off of methamphetamines. It's just when someone's withdrawing off of drugs, see, 90% or over 90% of people arrested are arrested for a drug-related crime. So now you throw them into prison, you throw them into jail, and they start withdrawing off of these drugs, and the feelings and emotions and violent tendencies that come forward with withdrawing is a serious problem. You also have a very high number of mentally ill people on Rikers Island, a very high number. They say the percentage is 40% of the population is suffering from some sort of mental illness, right? Because New York State closed most of its mental institutions, And then what you have are the gangbangers, right? And these are the kids that are in the gangs, that are in various different types of gangs. You have the black gangs, the Spanish gangs, the whatever you may call it, and they're running around the jail going crazy. They're going nuts, right? You also have a tremendous, tremendous amount of ignorance there. You're talking about people with a very, very low education. Most of them fifth, sixth grade education. If they went that far in school, right? They have absolutely no morals. They have absolutely no values. They have absolutely no goals in life, and they blame everything on everyone else. So you got a bunch of young kids in Rikers Island that are coming off the streets of Queens, Brooklyn, Manhattan, Harlem, and they're coming in here and they're in Rikers Island and they're living the gang life and they're assaulting each other. They're fighting with other people. They're assaulting the staff. They're carrying razors and knives and scalpels. And a lot of them, to be honest with you, are straight up punks, right? But what happens is they get a gang mentality and they get 5 of their friends with them, 10 of their friends with them, 20 of their friends with them, and then they start abusing the other people that are in there with them, and they act like tough guys. You know, you get them one-on-one and they're not that tough, right? But in the group setting, in the gang setting, all of a sudden they believe that they're the toughest thing in the world, you know? So as I've said in some of my previous videos, Rikers Island is much more dangerous than a prison. In prison, the guys have been sentenced already. They're upstate. They're serving their prison time. They've calmed down. They've withdrawn off of the drugs already. In other words, they've accepted their fate and they're doing their time. In Rikers Island, in a jail, that's not the case. They don't know what's going to happen to them yet. Their court case is still open. They feel like they have a lot to prove. They haven't settled down yet. They haven't calmed down. They're fresh off the street. And you got all types of people in there. You got the robbers, you got the rapists, you got the home invaders, you got the murderers, you got the people that assault people, people that set people on fire in the New York City subways. And these people don't have a pot to piss in. They don't have a pot to piss in. They're begging for cigarettes. They're begging for coffee. They're stealing out of people's lockers. And so, as I said, in prison, you don't have guys just going out of their way to make your life hell. Even though there are problems in prison, it's a little more relaxed. In jail, it's different. You're gonna need to know how to fight. You know what I mean? And you're going to fight. People are going to push up on you. They are going to try and take the things that you have. They are going to look to test you to see if you're soft. You understand? Let me show you a little video about the gang mentality of Rikers Island and how they swarm into a group like a bunch of animals.
Incarcerated people running across the housing unit to see the fight.
October 19th, 2021, another fight night on Rikers Island.
Cheering, throwing their arms up in the air as if it's some kind of Vegas boxing match.
Eric Burse is an attorney with New York County Defender Services. Burse says in this surveillance video, his client is one of 8 inmates forced to fight inside the jail by a gang leader.
You see a corrections officer, just one female corrections officer on the floor. It's clear she sees what's going on. And at one point, she kind of talks to the leader person and says, "Hey, it's a little too obvious. Calm it down."
After watching this video and hearing testimony from his client, Burse says a Manhattan judge found it wasn't safe for him to remain on Rikers.
As you see, that is a pack instinct. It's you know what I mean? Where they get together in a pack and they turn into real animals, because this is the same way that these people were on the street, right? They have no intelligence to live the right way in society. It's the truth. They live in society just like they live in Rikers Island, like a pack of animals.
Police released new video tonight of 2 Rikers Island correction officers being attacked. One incident happened Wednesday when an inmate sucker punched an officer standing in the hallway. The other incident happened about 2 weeks ago. An inmate charged an officer, pinning him against a wall, then started punching and choking him. The officer fought him off. Both correction officers had minor injuries. The Department of Corrections says both inmates were placed in restrictive housing and will be re-arrested.
So when someone tries to say, oh, well, Rikers Island is so dangerous and they're getting abused there and the officers are abusive there, and look at what the officers have to deal with, to be honest with you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Torres. Sandra is off tonight. We begin with that Thanksgiving Day attack at Rikers Island. Exclusive surveillance video obtained by Eyewitness News shows a male correction captain simply walking when a male inmate pounces, punching him in the face and knocking him to the floor. And the assault did not end there. Eyewitness News reporter A.J. Ross has the details.
This attack on a corrections captain here at Rikers is really disturbing to watch, and it begs a lot of questions. Now, this incident does remain under investigation, but the captain's union says there needs to be harsher punishments for incidents like this. It was just before 2 p.m. Thanksgiving Day when Captain Awar Gary began making the rounds inside the Otis Bantam Correctional Center at Rikers. Surveillance cameras show Gary being followed by 2 other captains. Then seconds later, he's suddenly surrounded and ambushed.
It's a horrible video to view, but the more horrible thing is that this is not isolated.
The inmate seen slamming Gary to the ground and repeatedly punching him has since been identified as 33-year-old Jason Reed, a known gang member. Gary is separated from his colleagues and left to fend for himself, and eventually takes the upper hand until two other inmates jumped him.
This captain was not helped. As a matter of fact, staff retreated from the area. Now, you could look at that two ways. You could look at that as just barely being a coward, or you could look at it as staff is so concerned for their own safety that that's the only thing that's paramount in their minds.
We spoke off camera with Captain Gary before his follow-up doctor's appointment Saturday. He showed us some of his injuries, including a 7-inch cut from his ear to his cheek, along with several bruises and lacerations.
I don't see a day where the reports come in where there isn't an assault on a captain each and every day, usually more than one.
The president of the Correction Captains Association says these types of assaults on officers occur all too frequently, and he wants punishments like punitive segregation to be utilized more to deter these types of incidents.
The men and women that are working Rikers Island are working the most dangerous job in the city of New York. The danger is so prevalent that it's scary.
The Department of Corrections released a statement this afternoon saying, quote, "We will never tolerate the actions of those who harm our staff, and we are working with the Bronx District Attorney to arrest and prosecute any inmate involved in this incident." At Rikers, I'm AJ Ross, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
And I'm a man that was in prison for 17 years, right? But when I went into prison, as I've always said, I knew how to do my time like a man. You know what I mean? This way the officers didn't go out of their way and harass me, because my goal was, let me get through this situation so I can get back out into the free world. And as you see, most of the guys in jail don't have that mentality, right? They really, really are lost, ignorant, incompetent, vicious, wild animals who act like they have no care in the world, right? They live their life like they're trying to prove themselves to all the other people in jail around them, right? And that's what makes it very, very dangerous. I was in a lot of fights on Rikers Island. If someone says that they were in 10 fights in their whole life, that could be a lot of fights. I was in 10 fights in 1 week. I had a fight my first night in Rikers Island when someone went into the shower and stole my shaving razor and my soap. I had to beat a guy up for that and put his head through the wall. I was in one of the hardest fights I ever had with a really, really tough Spanish guy over the telephone. As I was on the telephone, he was bumping into me. I told him 3-4 times, "Yo, do me a favor. I'm on the phone. Give me some space." And he kept bumping into me. I had to hang up the phone. And I was in a 2-3 minute fist fight with this guy. It was a really, really bloody fight. My nose was cracked open. My face was cracked open. This guy could fight really good. I'm a pretty good damn fighter, but this guy was really good. And he was getting the best out of me. I had to scoop him up, slam him on the ground, right? And this was every day. There was another guy, I kicked him in his face, knocked his head through the wall. There was another guy who wanted to buy my phone calls because, you have a certain amount of phone calls you're allowed to make. And we made a deal for phone calls. And then it was just, I didn't even want to get involved with these guys. And I was trying to do him a favor. The next thing you know, he's leaving in a stretcher because I almost killed him. And then there's the guys attacking the child molesters and the rapists. Those guys are getting beat up, and it's just guys are running around with scalpels, with razors. They attack the officers on a regular basis. And a lot of the officers are the ones who are bringing in the drugs. They're bringing in the weapons because they're selling them for mass profit. So there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff going on Rikers Island. It's a very depressing place. It's a very sad place. There's like really no hope there. You know what I mean? People are living on impulsiveness. They act on impulse. And it's a very, very dangerous place. It's a very dangerous place. When you get brought into Rikers Island, let's say you're walking in the door, and they strip search you, and then they hand you the few things that you're allowed to have, like your bedroll, your sheets, your pillowcases. They give you a drinking cup, they give you a shaving razor, and then they just walk and they put you inside of a dormitory, or they put you inside of where the cells are, and you just walk in there, and that's it. You're a new face that walks in there, and if you don't know anyone in there, there's guys in there that don't have anything in the world. Right? And they're going to look to see if you have money, if you're going to be able to get them commissary, if you're going to be able to get them a coffee and cigarettes, right? Because they don't have anything. They just came off of the street. Their families usually don't take care of them. You have some of them that have stuff. Most of them don't have anything. And you get put into a dorm setting. The dorm setting is like a Marine Corps barracks, where you have a cot, a foot locker next to it, a cot, a foot locker next to it, and there's 60 people in the dorm. And I'd say that out of the 60, 20 of them are mentally ill, right, and really dangerous. You know what I mean? And there's usually no officer in there, especially at night. There's usually one officer in the dorm, but he don't want to stay in the dorm, so he goes into the office area to hang out with the other officers, and everyone's in there alone. And it's if you thankfully, I don't say this to be a tough guy. I was a fighter growing up. I mean, I grew up fighting in the bars. I was a good boxer. I did some martial arts in my life. I was a great wrestler, but I was naturally just an aggressive fighting type of kid. And so that was able to get the pressure off of me, because once they saw that, they kind of back off. And I had the personality to befriend people and get people to respect me. And I was also in there for a very severe, well-known murder charge. And so, the people understand that as well. And some of them don't care. But if you end up in that situation and you go to jail, I would have to use the word barbaric. I would really have to use the word barbaric. It is a barbaric place, and there's no place to show weakness either. You know what I mean? There's no place to show weakness, because you could get hurt and get killed in there. And there's the option to sign into protective custody for people, but protective custody is just as dangerous, because there's guys that go into protective custody just to take advantage of the people that are in protective custody. Maybe because they're not tough enough to do it in the population. Maybe because they like to prey on the weak. The fist fights, like I said, 9,000 stabbings and slashing, 9,000 assaults. The fist fights are all day long. And then when the officers come in, they come in 20 deep with helmets and shields like riot gear, and they rip everyone's property apart. And it's just a place to stay out of. My message to you guys is to really live right. You don't want to be part. There's the old funny saying, there ain't no smiling on Rikers Island. We're talking about a dangerous jail, my friends, a dangerous place. And you don't want to be caught. You don't want to be caught there. You don't want to be caught up in that place. They're talking about closing it, and if they closed it, they would have jails in Manhattan, Brooklyn, the Bronx. Each borough would have their own jail to house people. But as I said, there's so much money involved that I'm sure there's a ton of people that are trying to prevent that from taking place. But at this point, it is a cement jungle that you should try and steer clear from. I'll talk to you guys later. Any questions, go in the comments. I always answer. I'll answer all your questions. I was personally there for 3 years. I could tell you anything you want to know about the place, but I figure I'd just give you a little idea on that. All right? You guys take care.